Hello and welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are working on the next project. We are about a mile and a half from our place, and behind me is a burned out JCB telehandler. So I acquired this project from a neighbor. It's actually here when we went to look at the property the first time, and I asked if it was available and made an offer on it, and he accepted it. So a little backstory on this machine is that it was functional last spring, and my neighbor was using it to build his building. When he was done with it, he was driving it back up out of the valley here, and it caught fire and burned up. Yeah, it needs a lot of work. Definitely a diamond in the rough, I think. But yeah, we're going to try to get it back up on all four tires. I don't know if that tire's going to be good or not. It got burned. So we'll see. We need to get it all the way back down to our property. One of the only reasons that I'm interested in this is that it doesn't look like it got hot enough to do too much to the motor. Everything that was aluminum melted out, like this fuel filter housing and stuff like that melted. But there's still paint on the block, which means it didn't get too hot. The fire, my neighbor thinks the fire started in the driver station, somewhere in there, and it burned over towards the engine and caught the engine on fire. So heat rises, so most of the heat went up and out and didn't go down into like the transmission and drivetrain, hopefully. So when you work with any of these burned out pieces of equipment, it's just a giant gamble. So we're going to hopefully try to get this thing fixed up eventually. Right now I just want to get it home and off the road. Once we get it home and I have time to work on it, we'll pull it into the shop and dig into this thing and see what's salvageable and what's not. If it's too far gone, then I can part it out. The reason why I'm doing all this work of going through a burned out telehandler and fixing it up is that telehandlers are really expensive. They hold their value very well. This machine is late 90s machine, and it's still, depending on the condition, worth $25,000 to $30,000. So, yeah, a lot more than I could pay for a machine. But if I put, probably it's going to end up being like 10 grand into it between all the hydraulic hoses and electrical and components that burned up. But then I'll have a nice new to me machine, which has almost all new hoses, almost all the cylinders will be rebuilt. I'll probably go through the engine, drivetrain I'll probably go through. Basically fix it up, and it'll be almost a rebuilt machine, a restored machine by the time I'm done, and that should be pretty useful for me. If you're unfamiliar with what a telehandler is, they are basically a giant all-terrain forklift, all wheel drive, all wheel steer, so you can get into really tight spots, tighter spots than the backhoe can get. The lift capacity is also higher. This machine has a lift capacity, I think, just under 10,000 pounds. This one has like a 7,000 pound capacity. But this one also extends, I believe, 40 feet. Because this whole boom telescopes out using this big long cylinder on top. So incredibly useful. This machine is also set up with forks but you can also unhook the forks really easily and quick attach a bucket or any other tool you want. And it has auxiliary hydraulic ports, so you could run a grapple or all sorts of different attachments off of this machine. It can also be used as a man lift, basically. You can put a basket on the front and lift people up, basically like a snorkel lift or cherry picker, where you can get up and reach out about 40 feet. So incredibly useful. You've probably seen it in the semi-truck project. The telehandler I'm using there is not mine, but it's so useful. You can use it as basically a small crane, stationary crane when you're by yourself, and just run it from outside the cab. There's a million uses for it, and it would be really nice to have one working and functional. So that's kind of why I wanted to get this thing. It's probably going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be a multi-year project. In fact, I know I won't be able to get to it this year. The only thing I'll probably end up doing this year is tarping this once we get it back to our place, so that no water can get into anywhere. But yeah, it's going to be a fun project. Tonight what we're going to do is try to air up all the tires. I know I have to take the one tire back to the shop and put a tube in it, and hopefully that works. I'm hoping that these two on this side will take air. The other one on the far side takes air already. After that, I'm going to do some inspection on the steering components. I want to basically be able to cap the lines going to probably the rear axle so that they are acting like a solid axle. It doesn't steer. Because right now when you try to move it, because it doesn't have hydraulic pressure, it just moves however it wants, and it's very uncontrollable. So yeah, that's the plan. Let's get to work. So I'm going to attempt to air up this tire using the little DC air compressor you've probably seen me use already. I don't know if this one will work. It depends if it has a tube or not. So hopefully we can get this one to air up so we don't have to take this whole thing off and bring it home. So I'm hoping that lifting it up off the ground and getting that bead back to where it should be will allow it to air it up. Shows 5 psi, so maybe we're going to get lucky on this tire. It's at 25 psi. We're going to go to about 35, I think. That's what I want to put in it. So these machines in particular can be a little tricky to work on. You have to understand that the weight balance is basically almost all on the rear axle when it doesn't have a load on the forks. That's basically due to this giant counterweight that's kind of in frame here. Hopefully we can pull that out, but first I want to try to raise this end up and get this tire aired back up. Basically, yeah, the weight distribution on this is probably 80-20 when you're unloaded. That's just me guessing also. So we're going to try to get this tire up so it's ready to air up when the other one's done with the compressor. Okay, I'm still waiting for the air compressor to cool down, hopefully. I don't think it was a fuse, it looked good, but yeah, we're gonna get this tire lift it up so we can pull the whole rim off, and then we'll get a tube put in it. That's what I was worried about. Tube won't help us in that situation. Okay, I'll think on this a little bit. Okay, while I mull over what I want to do about the other side, we're going to try to get this tire inflated and pulled in there. If that's the case, I'm probably just going to take the tires off the front end, put one of them back here, and then just let the front axle be free. That is only if I can lift up the front end with the backhoe and maneuver it that way. So, yeah, we'll try to get this aired up, and then maybe I'll do a test lift and see if I can lift up the front end. Okay, I'm going to pull the forks off of the front end of this, set those aside, and then we'll try lifting the front end. I think I might need to put a chain around the boom, but we'll try it first. Well, I think I missed recording and taking off the other side, but pretty uneventful. Ooh. That is why you have cribbing underneath something. That's why you always crib while you jack something up. Yeah, that would have been a bad deal if it had slipped without the cribbing under there. Let's reset the jack and keep going. I swear I put that on and it fell off. Well, we're actually pretty close to being able to move this thing, believe it or not. Wasn't my original plan, but I think it will work. Only thing we have left to do is to straighten out this axle and lock it in place so it can't steer. And then when we come up here to move it, I'll get the forks really close and put them underneath and lift up, and then have a chain wrapped around so they can't slide off my forks. And we'll just go like this, and if I run into problems or if it's starting to get away from me, I can just set this end on the ground or set my forks on the ground and it'll stop. So I think that'll work. We have the one big pull up the driveway, which I highly doubt I can do by myself. So we'll have to probably enlist the help of the neighbor with their dozer to help pull me up the hill. But I think this will probably end it for the video unless I try to lump in getting that steering cylinder locked into place. But if not, I want to thank everyone for watching to this point in the video. The best way to support the channel is just to hit that like button. It really helps out. It tells YouTube that this content is worth sharing to other people. So if you want to support the channel in a more direct way, the best way to do that is through YouTube channel memberships or through our Patreon. If you have any questions about this project, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.